Hey everybody, Chad Keeler here, Field Agronomist for Beck's Hybrids in East Central and Northeast Illinois. Today I want to talk a little bit about sulfur fertilization for both corn and soybeans as we sit here in the spring of 2023 prior to planting. Just want to remind everybody that sulfur is a macronutrient that's very important to crop production for the formation of proteins and amino acids and protein synthesis. And so if you have not been fertilizing with sulfur for both corn and bean production, I encourage you to take a look at the opportunity to do that. As we look at the crop requirements for corn and soybeans, and if I just use an example of 240 bushel per acre corn crop and an 80 bushel per acre soybean crop, and I take into account what we're getting from the atmosphere now, which is very little or minimal compared to what it was, say, 40 years ago, we really need to supply around a minimum of 20 pounds per acre of sulfur for our corn crop, and about half of that, or about 10 pounds per acre of sulfur for our beans. Now, if we're planning on a dry fertilizer broadcast spread in the spring, if that's something that you still have planned, my recommendation would be 100 pounds of granular ammonium sulfate, somewhere in that blend. That's going to give us about 24 pounds of sulfur, and will also give us 21 pounds of nitrogen per acre, that 100 pounds of AMS. In soybeans, I would cut that rate in half. I would use 50 pounds of AMS per acre. That's going to give us about 12 pounds of sulfur. If you're in a liquid program and you don't have any broadcast dry blend fertilizer going out this spring prior to planting, I would have you consider using the liquid form of thiosol, or the liquid form of sulfur thiosol product. It's ATS, or commonly just called ammonium thiosulfate or thiosol product. If we're in corn, you could do that in a weed and feed application, or if you're in a side dress application, you do that very early. We want this out there early in the season when soils are still a little bit cool, where we're not getting a lot of mineralized sulfur from organic matter. So my recommendation would be look at 8 gallons per acre total in a corn crop of ATS, and in a bean crop about half. So 4 gallons per acre of ATS or thiosol product for beans. That could be split up in both crops. That could be split up in weed and feed applications or side dress if you wanted to or needed to. That 8 gallons a head of corn or in corn is going to give us about 22 pounds of sulfur. And of course, the 4 gallons is going to give us about half that. So it's going to give us about 11 pounds of sulfur. Just keep in mind that the best utilization of sulfur as far as timing is going to be early in the season, after the plants emerge, and once we get from emergence to about V4, V5 stage, is going to really minimize the amount of interveinal chlorosis, or that striping that we see on the leaves. And it's really going to help with the formation of amino acids and protein synthesis in the plant. So really critical for crop development and maximizing yields. That's just one piece of the puzzle, and it's something that you should be focused on every year in not only corn and beans, but also other crops like wheat. But in addition to nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and calcium in your production plan, sulfur should be a component as well. There is a document that you can access at the bottom of the email that came across to you that I authored a few years back. But that's important information. That's a good resource for you if you need additional information. If you want to talk additional information about these sulfur products out there and timings and rates, please contact your local Beck's dealer, your Beck's seed advisor, or local field agronomist. Thank you very much.